Now we'll speak with Angie Fisher, Director of Clinical Improvement at Novant Health Brunswick Medical Center. Well, welcome back to the show, Angie. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about your role as the Director of Clinical Improvement at Novant Health Brunswick Medical Center.
I really get to do a variety of things in that role. I work a lot with government agencies, but in that role I'm also work with discharge planning, and that's where my involvement in advanced directives comes in. So it's a very varied position, but it's exciting.
Well, we're glad to have you here today, Angie, and specifically we wanted to talk about advanced directives and something called National Healthcare Decisions Day. So first of all, tell me what an advanced directive is.
An advanced directive is the decision that you make along with your family and friends about what you want to have happen to you when you're in an end-of-life situation. Sometimes it's planned for, sometimes it's not. But it's really about making those directions in advance. That's what it's all about.
Oh, in advance. So it kind of
advanced directive. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So what is this, what's the purpose of National Healthcare Decisions Day?
Well, National Healthcare Decision Day is a time that we've set aside to remind the public and those in healthcare about the importance of advanced directives. We want to encourage patients and families, have the conversation, talk about what it is that you want, and for us in healthcare to remind us to honor those advanced directives wherever we possibly can.
Now, I know it's during the month of April. Is there a specific day?
April 16th.
April 16th. And will there be things on public TV and things like that to remind folks of
Yes,
of
things
that
just
day?
like this program. There'll be public service announcements. Again, reminding folks to have the conversation. It's something we often don't think about discussing.
True. Well, people don't really want to talk about
Exactly.
death or dying.
It's not a fun thing.
No, it isn't.
But it's important, very important.
Yeah. Well, I've heard other terms used, such as power of attorney and also living will. Are those terms related to advanced directives? Are they one and the same? Help me understand that.
They're related. An advanced directive is some way of communicating. So a healthcare power of attorney may be the way that you choose a person that you know knows what you want. So that would be a healthcare power of attorney. You can work with your attorney and get that person designated. And it's in writing that you can show to the hospital if, Lord forbid, something happened to you. Someone can step up and say, I am Angie's healthcare power of attorney, and I know what she wants. A living will is the same thing, but in a document. So I've put in writing what I want if I should ever be in a terminal state. So it's one's kind of appointing a person, the other's putting it in a document.
So
but
I
they're
could
both
write
advanced
my
directives.
own wishes. I could write those down in a document and have it in a safe place, and then that would be a living...
That would be a form of a living will. Yes.
The power of attorney, do you have to have an attorney actually draw up the power of attorney?
It's better to have it, I guess, notarized.
I see.
But it kind of helps you make sure you've covered all the bases.
Right.
But it's different than the durable power of attorney for your financial and legal matters. So that's why it's important.
Oh, I understand. I'm glad you cleared that up, because I was thinking they were like all the same, but definitely not.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. So how would you decide which procedures that you would want or you would not want to prolong your life, and then which document would those appear in?
Well, it's almost impossible to guess everything that could ever happen.
Sure.
Obviously you're going to think about terminal illness, cancer, things like that. A lot of times now people think about dementing illnesses,
yes,
and then brain damage. So there's a lot of different ways that one could end up at that end of life. The kinds of treatments you would think about, obviously there's CPR, chest compressions, there's ventilator, mechanical ventilation.
I always think about that.
Right. Those things you think about, but there's other things too, like artificial nutrition, artificial hydration, feeding tubes, IVs, and then even sometimes folks go so far as to think about, I don't want dialysis, or I don't want antibiotics. So it can be pretty extensive, and it's really about what matters to you. So that's why it's, again, so important to have that conversation and then appoint a person or put it in writing.
It seems like it would be a difficult task to come up with those things, and you might want to have somebody to discuss those with.
Absolutely. I would encourage people to talk to their physician, maybe even their minister, but just kind of think about the what if. And the best thing in the world is just to talk about it, really and truly.
Yeah. Well, on another aspect, if you're in a coma or you're mentally incompetent, who makes the decision then to stop treatment? Is it based on those documents?
Well, if there are documents, yes, absolutely, and that's what we want is documents. That's what this is all about. But if we don't, then it's going to be left up to your family or a physician or friends. That's why, I mean, if no other reason, think about them. It would be so much easier for them if you've told them, hey, I know what Angie wants, and so.
What would I do if I were in a position where there is no advance directive? What would the hospital do? They would talk to my family? Or?
Well, we will talk to the family. We would talk to the people that are close to you. There are informed consent laws in North Carolina. Okay. We're going to look for those documents preferably, or a healthcare power of attorney. If we don't have those, then the hospital has an ethics committee that can work with you if you're able, or with your family, and we're going to help you figure out what's important to you, or to your family, maybe make suggestions, but those would be the resources we would look to.
Well, that's really good information, Angie. And I'm curious, are there resources at Novant Health Brunswick Medical Center for patients and families to learn more about advanced directives?
Absolutely. We have an outstanding case management department. They can work with folks, not just those in the hospital, but we'll help out folks that are in the community if they reach out to us. We have documents. There's things provided by the state of North Carolina that can help you walk through preparing those documents. And then all you have to do is get it notarized. So yes, we have a lot of great resources.
I noticed each and every time I come in to the facility to have outpatient testing or what have you, I'm always asked, do you have a medical power of attorney or do you have a living will? So they're very good about prompting you to have those things in place. And I always say, no. and
well,
I always
we can hook you up.
I always say to myself, gee, I probably need to do that, because you just never know.
We don't know.
Never know.
We really don't.
Well, Angie, it's been wonderful having you here today, and it was great information. I hope that all the folks out there listening will take heed and come up with those documents, because again, it seems sort of a chore to leave it to your family to make those decisions when nobody knows what you want except you. So
that's exactly right.
It's a great thing, and I would encourage everyone to do that, including myself. So.
All right, and we'll help.
Well, thanks again, Angie, for being here. We really appreciate it and hope to see you soon.
All right, thank you.